Shalom, shalom, and welcome. This is Yasharal, Living Orders and Commands. It is an end-time series to those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. I believe if you truly seek set-apartness or righteousness, as some would say, we will come to discover that there is Almighty One. We will come to discover His name, and that it was Him who manifests His word in the flesh, in the person, in the man, Yahushua Messiah. Can we separate the word from the Almighty Father? I think not. I know not. So many people say that He can't do this and He can't do that, but we say He's the Almighty One. Who are we to decide and determine, let alone even echo the words saying what the Almighty One can and can't do? We will come to understand the dynamics of His plan, how He manifests His word, Himself in the flesh, in the person, in the man, Yahushua Messiah. We will come to realize the dynamics of a spirit of a person versus these earthen vessels, and that it is the Almighty Father who created them. It is the Almighty Father who can use him to do what He sees fit. We will come to understand the purpose in the sacrifice, in the resurrection, in identifying that the Almighty Father sent His set-apart Spirit in Yahushua's name. We will come to discern the life in the words of John 14:26. With that said, getting into Yasharal, Living Orders and Commands. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and today is February 2nd, 2015. The title of this segment is Population Displacement. But I want to say something here, my brothers and sisters. What do you think or would you think of a man who received word that a farm was burning hundreds of miles away, and that man just dismissed it because he said, "Oh, it is burning, but I am hundreds of miles away. It's nothing that I can do." And then you later learn that that man could have notified the owners of the farm or emergency personnel to help save the farm, or at the very least help the people evacuate the farm and save lives. So the man had something, it was something he could have done, but he chose not to because he was hundreds of miles away. And then later the man realized that that was the farm where he got his food, his vegetables, his fruits, his dairy products, his meat, his chicken. And the man later found out that the very farm that he received all of his foods was the farm that was in question, not realizing that that food came from 100 miles away. What would you think of such a person? Would you think he was wise? I think not. So as it is with this story, so consider this story as we talk about population displacement. For the world right now, conditions in this world are becoming extremely harsh. Global warming and climate change has already begun to dictate that this world is indeed rising up with conditions that are not conducive, that are not real for man's continued sustainability on this planet. My brothers and sisters, are you aware that prolonged and widespread drought will force people to eventually move? Are you aware that current global warming and climate change conditions have already begun to dictate the movement of the wealthy? They are subtly establishing multiple residents in an effort to play it safe, so to speak. Are you aware of those who will be impacted most with degrading conditions and global warming and climate change? Are you aware that those who will be impacted the most will be the poor, the working poor, the unemployed, the underemployed, along with the evaporating middle class? Look around. Soon and very soon we will begin to witness forced migrations. widespread, with millions on top of millions searching for fresh water, food, and a safe place to live. A recent update on drought conditions indicates such conditions are continuing in California and emerging even worse in other states west of the Mississippi in the United States. Currently, Brazil, the largest country in South America, is experiencing such drought that they are considering in some cities rationing the water or releasing fresh water only 2 days out the week. Brazil, a country that has roughly 200 million people, currently there are over 120 cities in the country of Brazil facing extreme drought. Now I ask you, my brothers and sisters, among 200 million, or California 37 million, or those west of the Mississippi over 100 million, if you do the math, you will see that roughly over 300 million people are impacted right now by drought, and it is getting worse. It will become extremely worse in the foreseeable future. Those who are overtaken with unbelief or just plain slow to pursue living orders of command will find themselves eventually caught in massive congestion, chaos, turmoil, civil unrest, violence, and possibly be at risk of death. Who has considered, if resources are being strained across the world, specifically as it relates to water and food, fresh water specifically, then what do you think will happen when we witness population displacement? Another way of saying populations being forced to move. What do you think will occur when 300 million people converge on areas where they believe have the resources to sustain them, but only to find out in those areas there are limited resources, or in those areas the infrastructure cannot bear the strain of 300 million people coming to that area? My brothers and sisters, I want to take a moment and read the fourth passage in the 4th chapter of Amos, of which I speak about often. I call it the Amos sequence. And I say this because it is almost plain to see that the Most High Father executed his wrath in stages. Or should I say, he gave warning in stages before his wrath was executed. Better yet, let me lean on that. He gave warnings and signs before his wrath was executed. The Amos sequence. Listen to this and ponder on it for a moment. Pray on it and seek to discover the life on these words. Amos 4th chapter, verse 6 through 13. And I also gave you cleanness of teeth in all your cities and lack of bread in all your places, but you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. And I also withheld rain from you 3 months before the harvest. Then I would send rain on one city, and on another city I would not send rain. One part was rained upon, and where it did not rain, the part would dry up. Then 2 or 3 cities would wander to another city to drink water, but they were not satisfied. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I smitten you with blight and mildew. The creeping locust devoured your many gardens, and your vineyards, and your fig trees, and your olive trees. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I have sent among you a plague in the way of Mitzrayim. I have slain your young men with a sword, along with your captured horses. I made the stench of your camps come up into their nostrils, but you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. I have overthrown some of you as the Almighty One overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you were like a burning stick plucked from the burning, but you did not turn back to me, declares Yahuwah. Therefore I am doing this to you, O Yasharal, and because I do this to you, prepare to meet the Almighty One, O Yasharal. For look, he who forms mountains and creates the wind, and who declares that to man what his thought is, and makes the morning darkness, and who treads the high places of the earth, Yahuwah, the Almighty One of hosts. Yahuwah is his name. My brothers and sisters, clearly there's a sequence: famine and drought and pestilence and disease. But we fail to turn back to the Most High. I submit to you these are sequences that are occurring now. So I say to you, we are at the stage where it would be wise for us to realize the time is now to turn back to the Almighty Father or prepare to meet our Maker. My brothers and sisters, remember the Most High changes not, and there are many prophecies that have come to be in times past, but just like demonstrations of His wrath, His warnings, His signs, just like we read in Scripture of what occurred in times past, similar situations can occur, and in many cases we will come to discover will occur in the coming days. I have no doubt the Almighty Father will unleash His discipline on His children, but to the rebellious and the wicked, to those who serve the wicked one, Satan, to those who succumb to evil and wickedness, wrath will be the reward. Who is able to discern the difference between the discipline from the Most High and His wrath? Believe it or not, it is and will prove to be of grave importance to know how to discern the difference between the Most High Father disciplining us and executing His wrath. There are those who kick against the pricks and say that I'm going through a test or trials and tribulation, erroneously identifying that it may indeed be reproving, refining. It may be indeed a time of discipline. If you've been following my message, I invite you to join me and let's revisit some numbers. If you are tuning in for the first time, I'm referencing numbers as it relates to populations. Soon and very soon, widespread and forced migrations will become so large and so obvious that these words will echo truth in the ears of those who have heard them. With this said, let me say this again. There's a little over 100 million people west of the Mississippi River in the United States who are at risk of being beneficiaries of prolonged and widespread drought that will result in rising famine, pestilence, and disease in these locations. Currently, there are roughly a little over 37 million people in California alone. And I mentioned Brazil. Brazil, the largest country in South America, there's a little over 200 million people within the borders of this country who too are facing prolonged and widespread drought, ensuing famine, increasing pestilence and disease. If you doubt that, my brothers and sisters, look up the word enterovirus D66. Look up chikungunya and see where these diseases are sprouting up. Consider this, my brothers and sisters. When individuals in these locations become desperate for fresh water and food, when they become eager to get away from widespread diseases and pandemics, would it not be wise to say that they will begin to leave and migrate and flee conditions that are not conducive to life, that are not good for our survival? Consider what the beasts of the fields will do. Any wild animals, whether they're mountain lions, whether they're jackals. Consider any carnivorous animals. What about even the snakes and the pestilence and the insects? Will they not follow the food source? My brothers and sisters, I submit to you, soon and very soon, there will be population displacement like never before witnessed on this planet. We have never before had 7.2 billion people on this planet. Are you aware that as people begin to migrate, they're going to migrate to where they believe resources are available? And what type of strain do you think it will put on local resources where you live? What kind of strain, what kind of actions do you think will occur within your locale, within your community? And ask yourself, to what extreme do you think a person will go to preserve their physical life and or the lives of a loved one? Believe it or not, we will see militia groups form because the government will be so overwhelmed they will respond too slowly to the demands of a massive population that is being displaced. There is an action known as playing chicken in some communities. It is defined when two people race towards each other in a collision style manner. In other words, they running towards each other, or driving a vehicle, or riding a bike, waiting to see which one will blink first or move out the way first. This game is known in the United States and different other parts of the country as playing chicken. And it promotes the mentality that whoever is the strongest is the one who will not move. And it is said that the one who moved first is the weak one, or the unwise one. This is wickedness and pure evil. Although this is a wicked game, quote unquote, I was compelled to share with you to warn you that the strongest person who wins the game as taught, it is not the one who refused to blink. It is the wise person who have the sense enough to move when facing destruction. Pray and watch. So though one may think that the weaker vessel is the one who blinked, wisdom promotes life and knows when to come away from destruction. My brothers and sisters, I shared the example of this game because currently, as conditions are worsening on this planet, it is as though we're watching the masses play chicken, waiting to see everyone else, waiting to see who's going to blink first, waiting for mass chaos and confusion to erupt before someone began to start doing something. Now, I am not remiss. There are those among us who are awake, who are receiving living orders and commands and recognize them from the Spirit of Yahushua. I am not remiss that there are those who are known as preppers who are preparing for what they call doomsday or end times or nuclear fallout. Yeah, there are those who prepare. But even those who prepare, my brothers and sisters, I submit to you, it is vital that we seek to discern what the living voice of the Spirit of Yahushua is saying so that we are in the right place at the right time. Beware of those who are void of hearing these warnings. Those who throw around, I ain't afraid, I ain't worried, y'all gonna take care of me. Beware of those who promote a do-nothing attitude or a sluggish attitude, or who sling scriptures to create a false sense of security. Beware, my brothers and sisters, for as militia groups, as cliques, as circles get tight, when end times become intense, you will see groups foraging for fresh water and food like never before. We will see individuals leading these groups who are tyrants and bullies because of their physical strength. Or you may even find some who have the wisdom of a serpent, dictating to what must be done without regard to the life of anyone. Such conditions are emerging, my brothers and sisters, as I speak, and they will become obvious. I assure you, in many different camps, cliques, militia groups, etc., that every last one of them will be divided on many fronts, and will be constant chaos and confusion among such groups. The exception will be those gathered from the four corners of the earth. We will know what it means to be guided by the living voice of the Spirit of Yahushua. We will know what it means to be in a safe place. And those who are waiting for chaos and confusion, those who are void of listening to the voice of the Spirit of Yahushua, will find themselves in dens of death and destruction, where people have total disregard for life as people clamor and fight and struggle to save their own necks. But we who are among the children of obedience, true Yasharal, we will be refined, we will be disciplined, we will be gathered from the four corners of the earth. Pray and watch. What is amazing is that we are starting to see all that has been written unfold systematically and succinctly in such a way that man himself is acknowledging that we are on a collision course to extinction. As for those who know and have come to know the set apartness of the Almighty Father, we know that we are on an appointed time where these earthen vessels will return back to the dirt, where we will put off the corruptible and put on the incorruptible. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. There will be population displacement. Are you aware that many cities, counties, states, along with countries as a whole, that on top of fresh water, food, and dealing with pestilence and disease, many areas are facing eroding infrastructures? In other words, the system, the delivery system where fresh water reaches one's home is aged. The sewer systems are aged and starting to crumble within many locales. Electrical and natural gas systems are aged. They're old. They're teetering on collapse due to greed and neglect. For out of greed, man have neglected maintaining what currently exists. Are you aware that many roadways, bridges, railways that have aged are dangerous? Now consider an aged infrastructure, and all of a sudden now 200 to 300 million more people start converging on these areas. Do you think these areas can accommodate such massive numbers? Do you think this would not take a toll on those who are there, let alone those who are entering? Would it not accelerate the process of the infrastructures collapsing? Population displacement has been going on for years, but end times will prove to bring massive movements like never before. It will put the little border conflicts that many of these countries have, including the United States and the Mexican border, it will put those challenges to shame. Or it would, in other words, they would be pale compared to what's getting ready to happen. They will be minute compared to what's getting ready to happen. We are about to witness millions of people begin to be displaced. We say we believe the scriptures, but have we yet begun discussing preparedness for Yasharal? Since the scriptures mention being gathered from the four corners of the earth, are we aware by the orders, the living orders and command of the Most High, the 144,000 and great multitude will emerge in spite of displaced populations, in spite of what others choose to do? Allow me to once again say this: there can be no final exodus without movement. Scriptures cannot be fulfilled without our final gathering. It would be difficult to support set apartness without accepting that the scriptures are true. So consider these words and ask yourself, will Yasharal be gathered? Isaiah 11:12, and he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of Yasharal, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. Now many of you might look at when they say gather the outcasts of Yasharal and think that's just talking about Hebrews or Bari or Barim. I submit to you, remember the Mashiach said, my brothers and my sisters are those who do the will of the Father. And if the Mashiach is indeed the master of Yasharal and of the family of Yasharal, then could not the outcast of Yasharal be representing all those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father? And it mentions the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth, letting it know that it's not going to be just everyone who seeks to do the will of the Almighty Father and ignore the tribe of Yehudah. No, all those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, who are called, who are chosen to fulfill his words, will be gathered from the four corners of the earth. But that doesn't mean everyone will be participants. Isaiah 43:5-7 says, do not fear, for I am with you. I shall bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. All those who are called by my name, who I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. In Ezekiel 20:34 says, "And I shall bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the lands where you have been scattered, with a mighty hand and with an outreach arm and with wrath poured out." Now I ask you, my brothers and sisters, scriptures let us know that the wrath of the Almighty Father will be upon the children of disobedience. What say you, my brothers and sisters? What is your position? Sooner or later, we will begin to realize the living presence of the Most High, His living orders and commands, that they will flow through us one towards another and through His chosen leaders. We will see an emergence of Malachim, messengers, angels, who will also execute orders from above. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. We will come to know what it is to witness the Spirit of Yahushua working in us, through us one towards another. We will rise in discernment and we will identify His chosen leaders. You may be surprised. You may be one of those chosen leaders ordered to execute right rulings. You may be one of those who are being refined for such a task of what lies ahead. And you may be one of those who are ordered to submit and participate in a demonstration of structure, discipline, and order as Yasharah awakens. There will be population displacement in the foreseeable future. Our generation is about to witness the decline of civilization as we know it. Yasharah will be gathered to the promised land, and there will be those left behind in or killed by the hand of the Almighty Father's wrath. There will be brothers and sisters who will face martyrdom and killed for Yahushua's sake. The days will soon be upon us where we will begin to face the realities of what's ahead. Choose your position wisely, O listener, to these words. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of this message? Why did it reach your attention? Why did it reach your ears? Each of us have responsibilities and will be held accountable. The most surprising results will be those of us who will, not maybe, but will fulfill scriptures regarding the final exodus. You see, my brothers and sisters, we do not serve a passive Almighty Father. We will come to fully know what it means to respond to His living orders and commands. I pose this question, a question that I ask often. Do you think we'll win the battle because of our stubbornness and stiff neck? Or will the orders and commands, the living orders and commands of the Almighty Father prevail, win? Who has come to discern that He that is Almighty uses many methods to discipline His children? He knows what it takes to break us, to bring us to repentance, to fulfill what is ordered. Who is able to recognize the discipline from the Most High Father? Who among us can discern the difference between promised discipline versus going through trials and tribulation? Leaders chosen by the Most High Father, led by His set-apart Spirit sent in Yahushua's name, are emerging, and they will emerge with power, backed by the awesome strength that will be demonstrated by the Almighty Father Yahuwah. The time is now to begin preparations for what is about to be the most widely recognized movement of people ever witnessed on this planet, as end-time prophecies come to light like never before imagined. I strongly encourage each and every one of you to begin actively seeking what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying to you. I strongly encourage each and every listener to begin asking questions, more questions, even more questions. Begin dialogue and discussions on what's unfolding regarding the signs of the times and what is necessary, what is the requirement to seek to discern what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying to you, saying to His assembly, saying to His population. Remember, the Spirit of Yahushua can and do work through us, and He works through us one towards another and through His chosen leaders. Proof comes, my brothers and sisters. Be forewarned. He who waits for population displacement will be at risk of much heartache, pain, regret, and possibly face death. These words are real, and soon there will not be anyone on this planet who will disagree. Remember these words, for we live within the plan, a plan that has been created by the Almighty Father, who is aware of the life. In Luke 12:4 it says, But I say to you, my friend, do not be afraid. Be not afraid of those who kill the body and after that are unable to do any more. That was Luke 12:4. John 14:27 say, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. If we seek out the life in this, we will know that he is saying, do not be afraid of what man can do to you. There are so many brothers and sisters saying, I ain't afraid. I don't fear. I don't fear anything. Yah's going to take care of me. But how often do you hear someone who boasts all that echo the words, I fear the Most High. I fear him. Let me read Proverbs 9:10. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the set apart one is understanding. Proverbs 1:7 say the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. Yes, we will witness those who despise wisdom and discipline, because they will provide false witness against the obedient. They will manipulate scripture to fulfill, well, to fit their own hidden agendas and their wicked behaviors. They will fight against set apartness versus yielding and repenting. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. We are to fear the Almighty One, and we will discover in our fear of him, we will learn to pursue his voice and respond accordingly. Be mindful, there will be those who seek to avoid the discipline. Come away from such behavior. I have witnessed many people who claim that they are not afraid. Soon, the words that are echoed by the proud and the wicked will be proven and put to task as end times become intense. Massive movement cannot be avoided. The habitable places on this planet will roll up like a scroll, and those physically walking the earth will eventually find themselves journeying towards the region where life began. Just like life began in the Garden of Eden, we will see the final battle, the final march against the set-apart children of the Most High occur in that same region. If you doubt these words, search the scriptures. You will see that they describe a period known as the tribulation or the great distress, where billions, not millions, billions will be killed. If you doubt these words, go read Revelation 6:8 and 9:18. These occur during the great tribulation. And when you have billions of people dead, I submit to you those lands in which they dwelt will be uninhabitable. Will it be a nuclear bomb? Will it be through massive drought and famine? Would it be through disease and plagues and pandemics? Would it be asteroids falling to the earth? Will it be earthquakes and volcanoes? I submit to you, my brothers, all of these will be demonstrated. All of these will be contributors as the wrath of the Almighty Father began to be poured out upon the wickedness on this planet. And we who are among the children chosen to fulfill the final exodus will find ourselves either among the ranks of the 144,000 representing one of the tribes of Yasharal, for there will be 12,000 from each of those tribes, or a person who is among the ranks of the great multitude from many nations, kindreds, and tongues, together under one banner, Yasharal, being gathered from the four corners of the earth. Proof comes. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, I invite you to continue tuning in to Yasharal, Living Orders in Command. I invite you to continue examining the words in which I've presented, and continue to present as I am compelled to by whom I believe is indeed the Spirit of Yahushua. Until next time, I pray that each of us are able to endure until the very end, and that we do not get caught up in the congestion as population displacement enlarges before our eyes. Deliverance comes. It will come to those who are chosen to fulfill end-time prophecies regarding our final exodus. I invite you to continue listening in, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.